Okay, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. I do need a motion to excuse Matt Bateman and Mike Riverman from tonight's meeting. Matt couldn't be here. We haven't heard from Mike.
I'll make that motion to excuse you.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, moving on to old business. First, we're going to start with Premier Marketing Proposal. Did everyone have a chance to look over that? No, we wanted to make sure that everybody was involved in that. And I know the one that they recommended was the last one. Let me see. And I don't know that it says it unless, maybe it does.
Option 2?
It was the Atlanta,
Yeah.
their final recommendation, yeah, the Atlanta Market Option 2.
Okay.
That's with the 30,000 allocated funds for local business festivals, 35,000 for the digital billboards, 15,000 for the Facebook, and 20,000 for Google and AdWords, which comes up to the total of 100,000.
The only thing I'm not, the Facebook for 15 and Google AdWords for 20. The amounts there. Is that reasonable for, or could we look at doing maybe half and still getting the same thing for our buck, or?
Josh
I mean-
would probably be one.
Yeah, 'cause I really don't know that much about how this works to feel comfortable.
The thing with Facebook is you can set parameters on where it is. So it's going to be the same place where the digital billboards are,
Okay.
around that area, and you can specify. I don't remember if this one was just females, which are the ones that are even planning the vacations mostly. But Facebook, you can set specific criteria for who you advertise to.
So it's kind of a tracking to see maybe who is seeing these billboards. No?
No.
Sorry.
Facebook's
Specific
not-
targeting,
Facebook
specific
ads.
targeting toward whatever group
Right.
or
It's just
Okay.
demographic
very
you're
pointed,
reaching out to?
specific advertising. but
Okay.
And then the Google AdWords, we would pick which words we wanted to show up on. And I mean, you can do any amounts there. That was, they worked with a $100,000 budget. If you cut that down, it's going to cut down your presence. So
Right.
it's just all of what you want to spend.
Okay.
And the AdWords, I believe, will make you pop up at different things, and they can change that
Yeah.
often. I think
Yeah.
that's what Premier
Yeah.
said.
And I can bring you the AdWords and show you how all that works.
Okay. Now, do the AdWords tie, like I said, I'm not familiar at all. Do the AdWords tie back into the website, like Discover Franklin and See? There is a tie, that was where there is a tie in with that. Okay.
That's what's driving.
That's where
that
our
show up in
website
search
pops
results.
up.
Yes.
That,
Anyone
like I
types
said, I
in-
don't understand enough to.
Anyone types in a word that
And what
we
you
have.
want is when people are searching things like
Mhm.
Smoky Mountains, vacation, North Carolina mountains, anything like that, you want,
Us
pop
to
up.
You
pop
want
maybe
this-
before Pigeon 4.
absolutely. yeah.
Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. Okay.
My other question is, the festivals, this 30,000, but we've talked about Smoky Mountain
Theater.
Theater.
Mhm.
That's not allocated in any of this, unless we take it away from our festivals.
Out of that 30,000.
Right.
Right. And we didn't discuss how much we were gonna do. I know that the TDC said that they would have,
Something.
right?
I know last year on this spreadsheet, if you guys want to look at the second page in your agenda, roughly from what I could figure, it's be the third page actually. Last year for festivals you spent, and this is with the theaters separate, we spent 30,000. If you look at the third page in the agenda packet.
And that's not including the theater, which is
Right.
15,000.
And we're gonna be splitting, that's not decided yet, but we could go in and split that let's say that 15,000.
I think the 15,000 was the
That
split
was the
amount.
split number they were asking for, somewhere between
They were
30 and
asking
50.
They were
about 30
asking.
or 50, and we had talked to TDC about doing 15, and they do 15. But-
Oh, that's already to happen.
So if we do the 15, we would have to take it out of the festival fund unless we change the budget amounts that they recommended.
Mhm.
Yeah, I couldn't, I don't feel comfortable taking it from the festival amount. Because, I mean, that's just festivals we did last year. I mean, what if we had a new festival come along?
Curious how effective that is really gonna be compared to, the targeted advertising on Facebook and Google versus, doing sponsorship of the theater. I don't know
Way in your, I see.
how much,
Yeah.
how much more. I mean, yeah, we're looking at 15,000 to a lot of advertising that's already in place. I don't know how much of an effect that's really gonna have as far as pulling the people in.
So you're saying, I just want to make sure, so you're saying maybe not funding the 15,000 and just.
Just kinda go with
I'm
this
just
plan.
saying whether we want to do the theater at all. Like, I don't know if it's
Right.
money well spent or not.
I do have an opinion.
I do too, but.
My opinion is that the theater brings a whole lot more people to town than any of the festivals.
Mhm.
That being said, the best bang for our buck would be no festivals and no theater and more outside advertising.
I just know that the hotel fills up with
Mhm.
the theater. And I know, like, most of my trip advisors, when I was on there today, every one of them talked about going to a show.
So when they were here and they were telling us the statistics and all, it's like, I mean, it brings in people, no doubt.
I mean,
Come in for
my
shows.
question is they're already doing the advertising. The question is how much more that this is
I see.
increasing their budget to advertise, how much more of an effect is it
Mhm.
really having? It's not that they're not gonna advertise without us, so.
Right.
I'm not opposed to it, I'm just saying,
I think
we're
it's
increasing their budget by 5, 10, I don't know what percent it is. I mean, it's not
Right.
a lot, so.
Or maybe
They
we
can
could
still
do more
carry on
bang
with
for
us.
everybody's buck by following through with a plan like this.
I do know that we might have spent 30,000 last year on festivals, but they do have to become self-sufficient, which we should bring most of those down than what we gave them last year. Now, I don't know if that cuts that in half, but as far as the theater, I think that they need some kind of support from the community since they are helping. And it is their
Mhm.
tourism-related business. And not just because I work for Drake's, but because I know if it wasn't for them, I know we wouldn't fill up. Like June, I mean, our business has been kind of scattered, but April and May, when we normally don't have business, we were getting it from them.
Well, what if we maybe looked at adopting certain aspects of this, and instead of putting all of our eggs in one basket in this, we set a specific amount aside, not necessarily just for the theater, but in case there is other opportunities that come down the fiscal year where we could go into that funding. Like what if you took some from Facebook, what if you cut that in half? And then took a little from Google AdWords, because I love the digital billboards. I think that is and then we may, with the festivals as well, and that's something we can talk about in item C on the agenda, we may look at when they come, say, hey, this is where we're at.
I'm not sure what you're saying when okay, so if you cut, let's say, Facebook or the Google Ads, take some money, what would you do with that? What are you saying?
Potentially allocating that for the theater. I mean, if you took a shave off Google AdWords, a shave off Facebook,
That
a
would be
shave
good.
off of the festival budget, that could be set aside for the theater if we wanted to do that. Is that-
Or other opportunities that arose.
You can label it,
Mhm.
Yeah.
It could be for the theater or anything else, but.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, this would be our first time doing the Facebook and Google Ads, right? I mean, I think the Google Ads is really important.
Yeah, from what, no,
Probably.
You know.
more important than,
I could be
okay.
wrong on this, but I would think potentially more so than Facebook, but I wouldn't take a ton off of those. I mean,
Yeah.
Shave 5 off of each and
That's what I was thinking, I'd probably show
between
just
7
a
and 10
little
off
bit.
of festivals, and that would give you your 15.
I know the theater has approached and we've tabled them.
Mhm.
And I'm sure that we need to give them a decision anyway. I mean, that needs to be something we need to look at pretty quickly. As I
We were
know that
giving-
they're already booking for 2015.
We were giving money to the festivals to help out with their advertising and whatnot anyway, and we kind of decided that with the way these billboards work, a lot of that, we can advertise for them in a sense within that budget. Promote festivals on the billboards, so it's, you wouldn't think as near as much would need to be allocated to festivals unless there's something brand new coming down the pipeline.
Wasn't there a lot of money going toward the bike rally?
It's not, yeah,
Not
yeah,
this
that's
year?
true. Josh has got a point.
I mean, could we get that number down to 20, or is that too much?
What, festivals?
I think you could do 25 just to be safe in case something else came down the pipeline.
Well, this is more of a budget. There's not a whole lot we have to stick to other than
Right.
the biggest commitment would be the billboards.
Yeah.
You're exactly right.
So, other than that, I mean, you could change anything at any point in time.
And we could do that, so if we adopted this budget, we could change it.
So we're looking at,
Cut, you want to cut 5 off of each of those, just for the
Yeah, because
20
you're just
budget.
gonna adopt a recommendation.
Right.
Right.
But we were also talking about having all the festivals apply at one time, and
Yeah,
once they
that's kind of-
apply, you know, then,
so you got,
But that's for the next year. That's not for this fiscal year, right?
Well, you could, that's why I'm talking about. You could pull it
This
off.
upcoming fiscal
You
year?
could.
starting July 1.
Do they all know that?
You know, we would have to advertise that we were taking grants at this time, and then there's a deadline, and that we would be making a decision on all of them, let them all come
Mm-hmm.
and do a
And
presentation.
then it'd be done for the year?
Yes.
basically.
And there would be no more.
Trying to find money.
Mhm.
so pretty much we need to adopt the budget first.
Mhm.
So we're looking at 25 for festivals.
Okay.
I've got it written down here.
Okay.
This page, you write it down, you can do it. Got 25 for festivals, 35 for digital billboards, 10 for Facebook, 15 for Google AdWords, and 15,000 for other.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Yeah, I'm agreeing
That
with that.
sounds,
We can always move around again.
Exactly.
You can't, because
But you're
like,
just,
because like Josh said, you're
Reallocating it.
just
yeah.
really adopting a recommendation.
All right, well, I move that this is our budget for this year.
Okay, could you repeat it
Second.
one more time?
Mhm.
Okay.
So you're keeping digital, well, we're just, okay. 10, 15.
Read it aloud,
Yeah.
who cares, I get that motion.
Okay, so digital billboards at 35,
Mhm.
okay, Facebook at 10, where we had 15, Google AdWords at 15, where it was 20 before,
Mhm.
and other
Festivals at 25, right?
festivals at 25.
Okay, and then
Mhm.
other was
Other.
15.
And other would be, right. But you're shaving a little bit off.
And do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Um,
Go ahead.
I guess after we talk about the billboards, if you want to go ahead and do the 35 for the digital billboards,
Mhm.
do we need to vote on that separately? Because I will need to
Yeah, we will have to do
get
that,
that.
because we're just adopting the budget, so we would have to make a
That's
motion
really,
on-
Mhm.
that's just the budget, so do we need to go ahead and vote and say that we're gonna do digital
To
billboards?
allocate,
Because-
you want to allocate $35,000?
Well, no, it's already allocated,
Okay.
but do we need to vote and say
So we'll go
yes?
ahead and get
Go
them.
ahead and get
to
the
go ahead
contract
and
done.
get it started.
I
And
think
you can
so.
make it in the form of a motion that you want to move forward with the billboard proposal of $35,000 per year.
So go ahead and purchase them.
Okay. All right, I make a move that we go ahead and get the contract, I'll bring you the contract, so that we can go ahead and do the digital billboards.
Second.
All in favor?
I got a question. Okay, quick question. With the contract will be between, what is the company in Atlanta?
If it's not here, I don't know right off the top of my head, but I
Okay.
think it is.
But it's between the TDA and this company?
Correct, we're not, and
Okay.
I'll bring you the contract, you can sign it, you can pay the bill, I don't,
Okay, that's fair enough. All right, that's all I have. That was just my question.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and moving on to Allison Outdoor Advertising. Summer, I know you have
Yeah, I've got a little bit of information about that. I know we had talked at the previous meeting about with the billboards that we currently have, which are the 5 remaining, they are up for renewal June the 20th. They'll expire, if you will. The problem I know we had discussed that we'll run into is the Franklin Folk Festival was approved 2 billboards. And when that contract expires, basically, they're gonna lose those 2 billboards. So I called and I spoke with Nelson Bumgarner, who he came and gave a presentation maybe 2 meetings ago. They are willing to offer us, they are in agreement to go for like a month to extend one of those contracts if we wanted to extend it from June the 20th till July the 20th, which would come out of the current fiscal year's budget, which we do have because we had allocated to that to begin with, for $260. That would cover one of the billboards, which is located at, on the Silver Road, or in Silva. Mhm.
Which board is that? Do we know?
Uh-huh. Okay, it's board 3422 WI in Silva. It's one of the 2 boards with the Folk Festival poster on the board, and it is still available. And you can continue this for 1 month, which would be June 20th to July 20th, for $260. And then after July 20th, we could be done. I mean, that would save. The only other dilemma is there is another poster, the second board that they were promised is located on the Highland Road. Allison has already sold that board, so come June 20th, that poster, Franklin Folk Festival on the Highland Road, will come down. So the dilemma is you can buy another board, and there are only 2 other locations. One is the Dillsboro board, and the other one is at Eller and Owens, coming 441, you'd be coming 441 north. Again, you'd have to repay for a poster. It'd be $90.51. Plus you would have to do a 1-month contract, be $260.
Okay, we only have 7/20/42 left, right?
Should be enough between the 2 bills.
Is that
Should be
right?
done, do it. But what billboards do we want to do?
That 700 is just for the remainder of this fiscal year,
Yeah.
right, which is only what, 2
Right.
weeks.
But that way, that's the only solution I could come up with Ali extending 2 billboards for the span of a month. And come that month's end, if you guys don't want to, you're done.
But now we did commit to
granted
it though,
them a
right?
board.
We granted them 2 boards.
Right.
Mhm. See, the 1 board you're okay with because basically the poster's up, and it's the one in Silva. The poster's up. The only thing that we need is just the commitment of $260 for 1 month. The dilemma is the second board that we promised him that's already up is on the Highlands Road, and he has already sold that
You
board.
promised them a specific board and not just a board?
Just 2.
Just
2.
2 boards.
Mhm. So we can do any other board.
Yeah, so the other 2, I guess what I'm trying to say is for the second one that the dilemma's in, you have 2 options. You can either
Dillard or
go.
Eleanor.
Mhm.
Which is on 2 opposite sides, so for the traffic coming in.
And to me, we've already got 1 in Silva, do we really need to put that second one in Dillsboro?
Right.
No.
Oh, it's not Dillard, it's Dillsboro, not Dillard.
Yeah,
That's the
Dillsboro.
other one, no,
Yeah. I already have one on each end, kind
so it's gonna be right at $610.
Wow.
So I need a motion to approve.
Yeah. Solves the problem.
Make it so.
We still got, what, $100 left? 110?
I make a
So-
motion that we spend $620 to follow through with our commitment to Franklin Folk Festival.
And do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
of.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Okay, moving on to the festival event funding pool.
Okay, this is where I was gonna touch on. If you'll pull, it would be your last, probably your last page in the packet. This is just complete rough draft. I did have John Henning Jr. look over this. He was okay with it, but again, you know, we can make changes if we'd like. What I base this off of is the town of Franklin does this, and I've helped set this up. It's just basically a funding pool application request. And you can set a specific date. What you could do is come July the 1st, we could agree, I mean, you could post notice online, post it out front in town hall, put something in the news media, that applications for the upcoming nonprofit, or excuse me, not funding pool for the Tourism Development Authority is now open. And they could pick those applications up online at franklinnc.com or at the town hall office. And what this application would be, if you look through it, this is just a checklist, just their basic information. And what it did is, like where it says, please see the attached list of criteria. Okay, the funding request form. So this would be a whole package deal. You'd have a funding request form, and they'd have to fill that out. And currently, I don't know if you guys have your notebooks or not, but it looks like this. And I just took this and kind of broke it down because I think sometimes people overlook the requirements on this. But they have to turn in this form, and all applicants must include a written description of the following: what the organization is proposing to do, how the organization will market the event, how this project will enhance tourism in the town of Franklin, what tools the organization will use to measure the effectiveness or success of the project, what the organization is doing to make the project different from previous years, and how the organization will use any net cash flow generated by this project. And all that is these broken down, because I think a lot of times people just ignore this page and don't come back and fill that out. The second part, a copy of the organization's budget for the project. That's also required in this. But again, maybe this is just an extra step to say, hey, you need to turn this in. Okay. Now, something I know we've talked about before, a project report form must be submitted to the Tourism Development Authority when the project is finished. And I know we've talked before that we really want to start enforcing that, because a lot of times we'll give money to a festival and then we don't see them to next year when the festival is rolling back around. Then the last, second from last, is a statement as to whether the funding is for a one-time or reoccurring basis, and if the request is on a reoccurring basis, show how the organization plans to seek a declining amount of funding in future years.
That's good.
Because I know that's something we've talked about seeing them, you know, start to become more self-sufficient. Then the last is a willingness to enter into a contractual agreement to receive the funding. That's something we already have in place. That is the contract that the attorney had written up. And basically, if the board agrees to allocate X amount of funds to a project, or excuse me, a festival, then the chair of this board and the person or organization representative who's asking for the funding fill out this contract, and then it's approved by the finance officer. So that's nothing new.
And really, this is nothing new. It's just
It's just kind of putting it, saying, hey, this is what you have to do.
So if they turn in a application that is not completed, that gets turned back, and they still got till September 3rd, that's your deadline. You better get it fixed and turn it back in, kind of thing.
Right. What you could do, so if you want to come July 1st, and I don't care to handle, you know, putting it out there about where forms are available, July 1st, you could put it out there, make the announcement that the applications are available for pickup. That way, that gives them pretty much a month until, or excuse me, 2 months, because September the 3rd is basically a little before a week of our next board meeting. At that board meeting, at the September board meeting, you would, I would present you guys with all the funding requests we had received. Then you would hear presentations from the people, the applicants. You wouldn't vote on it at that meeting, of course. Then at the October meeting, you would then vote on all those requests.
How
Is there a
many
timeline?
roughly requests? What's the average? And here's why I'm asking is, I'm still a little concerned that maybe somebody isn't aware of the new rule by September 3rd. Is there any way we can email them previous you know.
And that's what,
That's free.
We did-
You just maybe
No,
email.
And there's also issues of, what if they haven't done one before and they decide in
New people.
October,
that's the
hey,
issue
I'm
you're gonna
do-
run in.
I mean, I'm of the opinion if you're gonna fund these festivals, that you just gotta take it when they bring their application, and you can't.
Well, the only reason that we were trying to do it differently is because last year it was last minute and they were expecting those funds. And they were already counting on them.
But you could
I mean-
certainly make it where they have to give you at least 1 to 2 months.
And you know, something you could look
Maybe not all at the
at,
same time, but you have to,
Mhm.
this all has to be submitted 60 days prior to your event or whatever it might be.
or one suggestion would be kind of get this out there now, saying we're looking at doing this for the next fiscal year, which would be 2014, 2015, and kind of put it in the back of their minds that this may come to doing, because I have had people approach me and some say, well, it'd be great if we could come earlier and just get it out of the way.
You can call
And-
it anytime they want.
So say if we did do the one-time thing, but somebody decided, hey, I'd like to try this festival, we could still hear them
And then vote on it.
and then vote on it, even if it's after that date.
You could, and that's just something, like I said, this is just, I know the board's been talking about it, and I just wanted to kind of bring something before you to at least review.
Right.
And to start thinking about.
Well, like you said, if you have an email and a number, because most of them emailed, everyone that dealt with us last year, email it out, because I'm sure if
Well, I'm
anyone else
concerned
is
about, I mean,
new.
it's only 2 months and it's brand new, no one knows about it, so all of a sudden, somebody may show up
Changes
later in
happen every
September,
day.
and it's
You
like,
go to
oh,
a gas
sorry, you missed
pump.
our deadline, we changed it for this year. It's like,
Yeah, I mean,
And I see that.
Yeah.
I'd be much more in favor of saying, okay, you've gotta get it in 3 months in advance, so,
yeah.
you know, we don't have time to talk about it.
I kind of lean towards that too.
Or 6 months into the fiscal year, you've got the first half of the fiscal year, and after that, everything should have been maybe approved.
And
I don't know, that's
Yeah,
just-
and this is something to think about. You can
Okay.
play around with the dates. This is just,
Yeah.
this is a starting point for you guys,
Okay.
just to.
Well, I definitely think we need to stick with the 2-month rule. I mean, getting them in, because even last year after we gave 2 months, it was, oh, please, let's get this on the agenda like the day before. And I know when I was doing the agendas and sending it, I mean, you were waiting till the last minute to put them on there. And some nights you had 15 people at a time, and we weren't getting out of here till 9, 10 o'clock. I mean, it was crazy. So, I mean, if you did that all at one time, it's gonna be
I think if you do, I mean, too, like.
first come,
if you-
first served.
Well,
60 to 90
yeah,
days
if you-
or something.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously have a budget now, which makes it a little bit easier.
It does.
So I think if you require 60 to 90 days
Mhm.
lead time, I don't think we have to have a hard deadline for everybody to be in, but before your event, and if you miss that window, it's too bad.
Because most of them would have to get in by then.
Especially if we only meet once a month anyhow.
And see, that's the thing. when
That
they
might
come
spread
in
out
and
all
tell
these
us-
presentations too, and we don't need 10 people giving a 30-minute presentation.
Mhm.
People from midnight.
So that's just something.
This just starting, just
Okay.
something for you guys, total
This
information
is
tonight.
something that we need to think about for our next board meeting. Just to
Yeah,
have,
just-
to start the new
Mhm.
fiscal year.
I think something we need to talk
Okay.
about though on festivals and stuff is our guidelines in sticking to them. Like, I was going through the book and I was noticing they have to come back with a report after the festival.
Mhm.
And how many of those reports do the TDA see?
Yeah.
I'd say make them eligible the following year if they don't get you the report back within
And I
30
think
days of the
that's gonna-
completion of the festival.
And maybe that'll bring some monies for something else or to doing something else, but I think we really need to stick to our guidelines and
I agree.
on that.
That project report form, is it an actual form that they fill out, or is it up to them to kind of just give us a report? For people who've never done it, is it like the application where there's a line that you
Yes,
complete?
let me
What's
show
your
you.
organization, your mission? Is the follow-up something where they can, where it's consistent for everyone?
Yeah, it's not
Okay.
them, we're just saying, hey, you gotta,
Right,
them
provide
might
us
say,
with
well,
a
what do
little-
they want? Let me
Yeah,
show you, I'll
okay.
show you, yeah.
That's not this here.
Too many pages.
Sorry.
There you go. Don't look at that.
And hopefully, if they're doing a project, they know what they're doing. Or they shouldn't be doing a project, I'm sorry. And most of them have been around long enough, they should know. I mean, because the TDC does it too. I mean, when they're doing a grant request.
They do.
I mean, if it was a new one, then I could understand, but. And while y'all are looking at that, we do need to either decide if we're gonna put the theater on the agenda for July, because they've been waiting for months, 5 or 6 months. And I know that was part of the other that we talked about, but, I mean, they've been patient about it. So we need to make a decision if we're gonna do it and go with the
Do we just need to say yes or
TDC.
no, or do we actually
Yes.
need to tell them, like, specifically? I mean, there's a number of options presented as far as sponsoring a season or sponsoring an event.
I think it needs to be, I'm recommending that we put it on the agenda for July.
I don't have a problem with that.
Do I have to mention that? Okay.
So we done?
Any other announcements? Questions? All right, our next meeting is Monday, July 8th, 5:30, same place. If there's nothing else, I can have a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All in favor? Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.